Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first of its kind online Holi festival presented to you by IMPS and SMAARTR. This is Monisha here, the founder of IMPS and SMAARTR. And this evening, I have a very fascinating guest with me by the name of Mr. Geet Batra. Mr. Geet Batra has too many hats he wears, but let me just try to put it all together for each one of you who's listening to us today. Geet Batra is an author, facilitator, and longtime student of human behavior, presence, and boundaries. After spending over 2 decades in the corporate world, Geet stepped away from a conventional career to explore a deeper question. What happens when people stop chasing permission and start holding ground? His work today sits at the intersection of inner awareness and lived experience, shaped by years of facilitation, reflection, and observation. His debut book, The Hair Never Lost, reimagines a familiar fable to explore prosperity as alignment rather than effort. My Life, My Rules, one of his other books, follows the inner journey of a woman learning to choose herself in a world shaped by expectations. His latest book, The Tiger Within, is a quiet, introspective narrative set in the jungle, exploring boundaries not as walls, but as presence. Geet is also a Heal Your Life workshop leader and has facilitated thousands of hours of reflective and experiential sessions across India and internationally. Whether through writing or lived spaces, his work invites people to slow down, listen inward, and recognize places where they may have been quietly shrinking. He believes that clarity does not come from force, but from stillness, and that what truly belongs does not need to be chased. Amazing, Geet. Welcome to the forum, and a very, very good evening to you. Thank you so much for doing this with me.
Very good evening, Monisha. Thank you very much. And hi to everyone. Hello, good evening and namaste. मेरा नाम गीत बत्रा है and I'm based out of इंदौर. और सबसे पहले तो मैं आप लोगों को बोर बिल्कुल नहीं करूँगा. अगर मैं बोर करूँ तो प्लीज आप मेरे को जरूर बताइएगा because that's not the intent. This was
So, what
somewhere
is the
before.
intent also then, Geet? We have to break the surprise for everybody, right? We're here for not a podcast, not an interview, but for a very unique, I think, reading session with you of the book, The Tiger Within. So, do you want to tell us a little about the book before you get started, and what got you to write such an amazing title?
So, yeah, thank you very much for asking. Actually, I was about to let the cat out of bag, at least, you know, the face of it, and so that you know what it is about. I had some recent learnings about life that everything in the life, in our life, either gets better or goes wrong because of one particular issue. When I was thinking about it, and during that time, I was trying to put everything into a book. I thought this book will be too boring and nobody would read it. It would be a self help book. It would look like a Gyan, and people would say, ये भी आ गए एक और अंकल ज्ञान देने के लिए. And that's when I was also writing another book. In fact, not book. This is almost 11 years back when I went to Bandipur in Karnataka. And that's the time when, for the first time in my life, I saw a tiger in real life. I had written some notes about it, which were almost like 5 to 10 pages. And I wanted to write a blog. Now, for blog, it was too long. I was not confident about my language, that I would be able to do justice. I had to concise it, but I kept on expanding. That part was left untouched. And this part, which I recently was thinking about, learning from other people, discussing with people, I have lots of people who I coach. And from the various workshops that I have conducted, facilitating various programs, my understanding was there is something which is missing in our life, and that at that point of time you would realize things are falling apart, and that thing is boundary. We require boundary with everything in our life. That
So true.
means we require boundary with ourselves. One of the easiest example that I can give you where exactly you require your boundary is here, your
Hmm.
phone. There,
I second
almost,
that.
yeah,
Completely second that.
yeah, almost none of us have boundary. Accidentally, you would click on a short or on a reel, and you won't realize 45 minutes have passed by. You
Absolutely.
know? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's one place where you can have boundary. There is another place where you don't have boundary when you are not able to say no to people because you are a nice person. You're a nice guy, nice girl, and you are not able to say no. But if you look at jungle, if you
Hmm.
go out in nature, every animal defines their boundary. And I asked myself, in fact, I asked my animal spirit guide, which is my first book about,
Hmm.
and I asked which animal tells me about boundaries. The very first name that dropped in my conscious was tiger. And I immediately got into evaluating certain people in my life who have their animal spirit guide as tiger. And then I spoke to them. I told them that I'm considering writing this book. How do you keep your boundaries? And then they discussed, they told me something about it. And I wrote that entire concept of boundaries and my story, little bit of my story in Bandipur visit in this book called as The Tiger Within, The Power of Presence. One of the things, if some of you have never seen a tiger in wildlife, you must go and at least see it once.
Absolutely.
Something in you will actually shift when you see a
Hmm.
tiger. And especially when the tiger looks into your eyes, you would realize something has shifted. You will get
Hmm.
goosebumps. It is impossible that you don't get goosebumps if the tiger looks at you. So,
I have been to Bandipur, Geet, and had an amazing experience. So I can relate to what you're saying. But what is amazing is that you carried such a shift into a book, right? And that's the part that is really amazing. So please go on. Tell us a little more.
so here the book is I took a protagonist whom I could relate, whom people can relate, who was much younger than when I went to Bandipur, and I built around a story and small snippets I took from my Bandipur visit. Like that time I was new in Bangalore. I think it was September 2015, and first July is first time I landed in Bangalore. So I was still finding my feet in Bangalore, and I did not know Kannada. So the moment I landed in Bandipur, somebody asked me, and he says Kannada Barutre, something like that. That's what they say, and I only knew one thing: Kannada Gottilla. Right, and then he says you and half of the Bangalore, but never mind, since how long you have been in Bangalore. That's how the story started, and I built around each and every character, and it took me really a long time. In fact, last 11 months I have started with version 1, and the final version was version 13. So that many
Okay.
changes have happened. It was very confusing. Sometimes I copy pasted in the wrong place, and then I have to change the entire thing because I could not find what I wrote and where I wrote. So it was pretty challenging, but it was very exciting. This is the only book which I have spent so much time. My other books I'll talk about a little later. Uh,
Sure.
but I would like to talk, maybe read out a bit. Is that what
Please do.
would? Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're all ears. And I
All
hope
right.
everybody's listening. In the meantime, while Geet sets up, I think I would request everybody who's following our channels to please leave your comments and any question that you have for Geet, so that he is going to jump in and answer those questions for everyone.
Yes.
Over to you,
So I
Geet.
would read. Thank you. I would read some pages from the beginning and some pages after. Right. So I'll keep shuffling the chapters a little. The line you don't see. Most people think boundaries are loud. a slammed door, a shouting match. But the most dangerous lines are crossed quietly, in the soft moments that look like love. Neil didn't notice when he started disappearing. There was no collapse, no big scene, just a thousand small, it's okay, which he didn't mean. He became the shock absorber for everyone and everyone else's chaos until his body began revolting at 4 a.m. Tight chest, sour stomach, and sleep that wouldn't stay. He didn't go to jungle to find anything. He went to stop feeling. But Bandipur doesn't let you numb out for long. On his first night, the dream came sharp and silent. A tiger. Not charging, not roaring, just standing there staring deep into his eyes like it had been waiting for him to finally look back. Neil couldn't move. The stare didn't threaten. It exposed him, and one truth cut through, clean as a claw mark. Boundaries aren't walls. You build around other people. They are the lines you stop crossing inside yourself. Neil woke up in the dark, breathing hard because once you see the line, you can't unsee it. Chapter 1. I am fine. The forest doesn't whisper to everyone. Gravel crunched under Neil's tires, swallowed by the hush between tires. The forest didn't roar, it waited. Not all arrivals are noticed, but the jungle feels everything. Even a restless man trying not to unravel. Scene 1. Neil had spent 14 years becoming invisible. He sat in the cold blue glow of his laptop, staring at the inbox that was a wall of red and 17 calls from Aisha that he didn't answer. Not as punishment, but because his body had simply stopped responding. For over a decade, he had played the role of safety alternative. The man kept on a shelf for when the curated world grew too cold and the lights were off. He wasn't going to Bandipur to find a tiger. He was going to see if he still had a shadow. The laptop cast a cold blue over the room. Neil sat motionless, fingers hovering above the keyboard. Cursor blinking on a half written email, the inbox was a wall of read and unread. Deadlines, meetings, reminders, and all of it demanded a response. Nothing in him moved. The ceiling fan wobbled slightly as it turned, a dry clicking sound marking each uneven rotation. Outside traffic rose and fell like distant static. Inside, it felt like someone had pressed pause on his life but left him sitting upright in it. His eyes drifted to his phone, lying face down beside the laptop. He turned the phone over, screen lit up, a column of green, 17 missed, mostly Aisha. Two from his mother, one from Vicky. He had answered the first few. After that, his body had simply stopped responding. Some messages were short stabs, others were long, typed then edited kind of paragraph, all spinning around the same fear losing him. Right after she had pulled away. Message from Aisha. I know I have messed this up again. This is on me. You were right about me. I ruin things. I run. I shut people out. I don't even know how to be loved without spoiling it. Sometimes I really feel there's something wrong with me. I'm not lucky in love. I don't deserve you, someone this patient. Please don't go cold on me, Neil. I know I hurt you. I'm not asking you to forget it. I can't breathe properly. My head is pounding. And that nerve pain in my arms and back is back. I am shaking. Please don't do this to me. Just one message, anything, so that I know you are still there. He didn't go cold. He ran out of fuel. There was a difference. Neil let the phone rest on his thigh, screen still glowing. He knew this sequence by heart now. The slide from I am the problem to don't leave me to my body is breaking down. Every time it hooked up the same place in him. The part trained to scramble in, to reassure, to prove he was not the one of the people who would walk away. His thumbs twitched over the keyboard. Just one line. I'm here. We'll talk tomorrow. Something. Instead, he placed the phone face up on the table and didn't type anything. Not as punishment, not as strategy. He simply had nothing left to give. He felt like a beggar, devoid of anything precious to offer. The laptop screen waited, the emails waited. He didn't move. The exhaustion he felt wasn't the usual tired from work, but it was bone deep. The kind that made even small decisions feel heavy. He tried to remember when his default answer for everything had become tired, busy, drained. Labels he used like bandages. So he wouldn't have to admit, I don't know who I am anymore. A thought slid in, soft but sharp. What's the point? His throat tightened. He swallowed hard, as if that could push the thought away. In the corner, the camera bag sat on the shelf, a faint dust line tracing the zipper. Once that bag had meant early mornings, empty roads, light pouring through leaves. Not for work, not for anyone else, just because it made him feel alive. He couldn't remember the last time he had felt that. The phone buzzed, interrupting the memory. Aisha calling. Her name flashed on the screen, small and insistent. He stared at it for a second. His thumb hovered over the red icon. Old Neil would have answered on the first ring. Voice softened, ready to soothe, explain, earn back her calm. He picked the call not because it was easy, but because leaving had never been his pattern. Hello, he said. His own voice sounded unfamiliar, flat, sanded down, careful. On the other end, a rustle. Then her voice tight. You finally picked up. No joke, no hey, no warmth, just that. I was working, he said automatically, then stopped. They both knew he wasn't. Silence stretched. She asked, how are you? Neil wiped his mouth, splashed cold water on his face, and looked at the ghost in the mirror. And he whispered, I am fine. The lie tasted like copper. Neil, she said softly, what happened last night? His thumb pressed into the edge of the table. Fragments of last night swam back. Him saying, I can't keep doing this. Her going quiet. The call ending like a door half closed. I said what I felt, he replied, for once. You were harsh, she said. I wasn't expecting that from you. Of course she wasn't. He had been always soft landing, the one who bent, absorbed, adjusted. I wasn't harsh, he said. I was honest. There's a difference. She exhaled sharply. I know I vanish. I know I pull away. But you don't stop either, Neil. You call, you message, you keep asking what's wrong till I feel cornered. Like there's no room to breathe. He let that sink in. Old Neil would have habitually said, I'm sorry, I'll do better. Tell me how to be. Tonight, he didn't. Aisha, he said, speaking slowly, can we for once talk about the whole pattern? Not just the last 24 hours. A pause. Weariness crackled through the line. What pattern? He leaned back, eyes on the ceiling. The one that hasn't changed in years. He said softly, no matter how much I try. Her inhale was quick. You are really going to bring this up, all the old stuff now? He replied, it's not old. It never got a chance to become old. Because every time we get close, the same things plays out. He wasn't accusing. He was trying to name it for himself as much as for her. You come in fast, he said. Messages at midnight, long calls, jokes, confessions. We would travel here, travel there. We'll do this, we. He could almost hear her flinch. Then something shifts. He continued, a word, a feeling, the idea that this might actually be real. And overnight, your replies go from paragraphs to busy, tired. Let's not talk about this now. Neil, Aisha said. He said no, gently but firmly. Let me finish. When you pull back, I panic. And then I do the thing that makes you feel trapped. I call more, I text more, I send you long, careful messages trying not to trigger you. I apologize for wanting clarity. I apologize for taking space. I walk on eggshells around your mood. Every time you say I need space, I make myself smaller so you don't have to feel crowded. So this is a bit about how the novel started, uh, but Aisha is not what this novel is about. I'll just give you a brief on what exactly happens further. I'll read from somewhere else so that you have a bit of idea what exactly is happening in the book. Okay, I am
In fact,
at
Geet, I'm trying to, get that extract of this essence of the tiger within. So I think when I know how the story is developing, I think it's a interpersonal space, and there has to be that point of climax. I think that is what you're talking about in the title of your book. That'll be interesting to hear.
Actually, this is not how I intended to start the book. But then I
Oh.
said, let me surprise you. People read it and they think it's a love story, it's a relationship thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
But be prepared.
Okay. Sounds interesting. Yes, please
So
go on.
I'm at scene two when the road disappears. It's in chapter four, The Rush. And there they are back in the jungle. They had barely cleared out track when the light changed. The rain didn't announce itself. There was no thunder, no warning sky, just a sudden dimming like someone had laid a palm over the sun. They slowed instinctively. Drops stuck the windscreen, wide spaced, heavy enough to leave dents of sound. The driver reached up and tugged at the soft top. Canvas snapped into the place. With practiced pulls, another driver behind them did the same. Movements quick but unpanicked. Wasn't supposed to rain today, he muttered. The radio crackled, rain moving in from the west. Then the sound changed. Rain stopped falling and started hitting. It flattened the dust into paste, turned the track slick in seconds. Water streamed down the glass in thick, blinding sheets. Vipers fought and lost. Neil leaned forward, peering past the driver's shoulder. Rain blurred the windscreen into moving sheets, distorting distance and depth. The smell of wet earth sharpened, metallic and raw. The forest darkened, closing ranks. They rounded a bend, and the track seemed to dissolve. What had been clear mud road earlier was now a continuous wash of brown water. Not flowing fast, just spread wide and shallow, erasing edges. The surface looked uniform, deceptive. Road and ditch had merged into one. They slowly, they slowed to a crawl. Hard to see where the track is. The driver said, easing off the throttle. From the back seat, Aryan leaned forward, squinting. Is this the road? The driver hesitated. It should be. Rain drummed harder on the soft top, visibly dropped further. Water crept higher around the trees, around the tires, not rising dramatically, just enough to hide the ground beneath. The gypsy rolled on, careful, slow, and then it dipped. Not suddenly, not violently. One side sank just a little lower than the other. The vehicle tilted, enough to register in the body before the mind caught up. Hold, the driver said. The tires spun briefly, then caught, then slipped again. Even in four-wheel drive, traction was uncertain. The ground underneath softened unevenly. They had edged into shallow depression at the side of the track, its boundary invisible under the water. Aryan sucked in a breath. Aryan is a small kid, 11-year-old kid. Neil looked down at his side. The ground there sloped upward slightly. We need to make it lighter, he said, not loud, not urgent, just practical. The driver nodded. Yes, carefully. Neil pushed his door open a fraction, tested the water with his foot. It barely covered his shoe, firm underneath. Child first, he said. It's shallow here. He stepped down, water soaking the hem of his trousers, and held the door suddenly. Aryan was helped out, hands gripping Neil's arms harder than necessary. Neil kept his voice even. It's okay. Just step where I am standing. Aryan nodded, and I did. One by one, the others followed, easing themselves down on Neil's side. No haste, no frenzy, no panic. Rain dripping off jacket, cameras hugged close, boots sinking slightly but holding. From behind, another engine approached. What happened? The guide from other vehicle called. Lost the edge of the truck. The driver said soft ground. The other guide and driver jumped down, shoes splashing together. They assessed the angle, the tires, the depression, hidden underwater, pushed from the deeper side. The other guide said slowly. They did. Mud sucked and resisted. Tires spun, then caught. They shifted an inch, then another. They pushed again, breathing hard, slipping, adjusting grip. Rain continued, steady and unbothered. It took time, more than anyone expected. Muscles burned, shirts clung. Someone laughed once, short and breathless, at how stubborn the rain could be. Finally, the four-wheel drive rolled free of the depression and climbed back on the higher ground. They guided it forward to slight rise where the track reappeared, narrow, unmistakable now. Everyone stood there for a moment, rain soaked, quiet, watching water sheet across the place where the road had vanished. They waited, engines idled, the rain softened, visibility slowly returned. When they moved again, it was carefully, eyes scanning wheels, placed deliberately, no one in a hurry anymore. The jungle had rearranged the morning, and they let it be. So, this is another chapter, totally unrelated. I'm reading all the unrelated chapter, and I have not yet
We
spoken
have to
about.
fill in the blanks. You
You have
want
to
us
fill
to
in.
fill in the blanks. I get
Yes.
it. But very
So,
interesting. Very
yeah,
interesting. And it has a lot of adventure. The tone of adventure is very, very high in
yeah.
in both the parts that you read out, Keith. But tell me, you were going to say something else. Please finish. Yeah.
Yeah, my earlier book, The Hair Never Lost, I mean, if 10 years back somebody would have said in 2014 that Geet, you are going to write a book, I would laugh at their face. I would say, you're crazy. You need some shock treatment. But but
Wow.
2019, a lot of people were writing books. And I said, okay, I can also write books, but what would I write about? And that time I was a coach. I used to love a tool. With the help of that tool, you can define who you are with just 5 words, not sentences, 5 words. So I wanted to write that book, and I started writing that book. But I wanted to be perfect, and because of that perfection, I left that book in between. I mean, I've written as much as 180 pages, but I'm not satisfied with that book. What I realize here that now this is something pretty interesting about how everybody has some story, and we think that writing book is not possible for us. All of us
I
have certain
disagree, actually. Yep. Yeah.
yeah. Now let me take some very very simple examples which almost all of us either have experienced or somebody around us have experienced that. Yeah. So say these three examples. Some of you may have experienced a breakup, or somebody around you have experienced that breakup. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is where experiences matter, in the sense that they influence every writer, or
Yes.
someone who is even urged to go out and express in terms of written words. These are incident, they have to have an influence. I disagree with somebody who says that, sorry, my writing is not touched by lived experience.
Yeah.
But tell me about
Because
yourself, Keith. How do you feel your writing emerges? Does it reek of your own lived experiences, which you then morph into maybe some kind of a fiction and bring it out in terms of a book? Is that how you write, or what's your strategy?
sure. So I'll come to that. I was actually saying something about experiences, that it is very easy that all of us can write our own book. Just because we think we don't have words, we don't have the entire story, we don't have the perfection, it stops us from writing. So, like I was talking about breakup. So, people who are listening, they can pick any of these three incidents. One is breakup. The second one is failure, when somebody rejected you. And the third one is a big win, something which you won, a championship or success. Now, these three all events are actually stories. Most of the time, you would ask question about who, what, and where. There will not
Very
be
true.
any story in that. If I ask you, who are you will give me your name, what you do, who, what, where. You work with this and this company, this is what you do. But that's not. Stories are entertaining. Stories are when you ask how and why.
Yeah.
The person who had breakup, you ask this person, did you see it coming? And when that person said, what was your first expression? And what did you want to tell them, which they did not hear? Or what
True.
is that you wanted to ask, which you want them to say instead of whatever they said or whatever they did not say? When you ask all those questions, there would be a story. Now, weaving that story is what makes an author. All of us have experienced some emotion, breakup, success, or when not, championing anything. You would have some experience. It is how putting them into words by experiencing and asking yourself questions. So I kept on asking these questions, but I was not able to fit all of these things in one piece. So I had gone to Bandipur, but there was no funny person like the character. There is one character here who will keep you entertained throughout. He's a total comedian, right? But
Okay.
in my real Bandipur story, there was no comedian. In
But you
my
wish there was.
yeah,
You wish there was.
so I wish there was.
I
So what I
see.
did is I created a comedy. So I said, if I would like one person to be there for my Bandipur trip to be more exciting, who would it be? I went for this wildlife photography expedition in Bandipur. The same is the book about, but the guy who was leading it, mentoring that photography workshop, he was barely 28 and other one was 32.
Okay.
But the guy who I got in this book, थोड़े सफेद बाल, who
Acha.
is having more experience, and his presence, when that person will speak, people will actually like to listen, and he would speak less, but it would hit hard. So
I'll tell you
yeah.
something very, very amazing is I don't know how you feel when you're reading a book, but I land up drawing a lot of parallels. So suppose I read your book, and somewhere I feel that there is a similar experience that I had in my life. I start putting myself in the author's shoes and, start feeling exactly the same way that the writer probably would have felt, writing that similar situation, which, was common ground. But I think what I'm hearing from you is somewhere in the whole art of storytelling, okay, which is very again personal to you, and it is subjective. Somebody might say this, somebody might say that, but you have realized that a balancing act is required. So certain characters which have to be portrayed in a certain manner. You also have certain characters which eventually are just put into the script, into the plot to kind of balance out and bring out the actual crux of the story and different bits and pieces. Now, in this whole book, Geet, who are the main characters to look out for, other than the protagonist and the lady?
Uh, Actually, none of them have a presence as strong as the mentor, which is Mr. Krishnan. Uh, so he is the one who actually has a presence, and there is one guy who Neil got very pally with. His name is John. So a lot of that will be around, but the kids are going to surprise you. The
Okay.
words, the thought process that these kids are going to have, it's going to surprise you. Yeah. So I
Sounds
have
good.
not.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I have actually. How it happened is recently somebody said, "Do not treat your kids or children as kids.
Yeah,
Let them be kids, but treat them as young adults."
absolutely. That's the
And
only way to be nowadays, by the way. I don't know how other parents do it, but I don't have an option from the very
yeah,
early days.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So one
But
is Mr.
tell me,
Keshwan.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, tell me more. Yeah.
one is Mr. Keshwan and one is John. And
Hmm.
these two people will will look like a little major, but there are other people. There is Bindya, there is Tara, and it actually had a lot of different people. But then I cut short everybody's role.
Got
मतलब
it.
वो,
Got it.
uh,
And this is your
Akshar,
third book, Geet. This is the
this is the
third one
third
you've
one.
written?
Yes, this is
Okay.
third one. Yeah,
So tell me one thing from the first book. Okay, now we don't want to give out more than this in this
no, yeah.
session, because then koi padega nahi, and you don't want that to happen. But since your first book, the first book that you wrote, to this book, the third one, did you see a transition in your own self in terms of expressing through words and bringing out your
Embarrassed.
books?
I was embarrassed. बहुत शर्म आई
Yes.
कि
Okay.
पहले जो किताब लिखी थी वो क्या लिखी थी
Hmm.
नॉट कि क्यों लिखी थी लिखा सही था नॉट दैट किताब में कुछ गलत है बट दैट वाज नॉट द राइटिंग द रियल राइटिंग इज व्हाट आई हैव डन हियर सो that if that book was written by a first grader, this is probably written by a seventh grader. So that's the level of
Amazing.
difference.
You've seen the growth. You've seen the growth.
Yeah, I've seen
And
the
and
growth.
this is I mean, I probably second this, Geet. As much as it is easy to say write a book, it's not an easy task, right? Because especially as a grown up, I think kids do it far more easily. When I have seen Kia just pick up and really express through her words, because when kids are simple and young, they're able to, for them language flows very easily and effortlessly. When they don't think of fancy words to use, and just to make the book, very glossy and glamorous in terms of language. So it is free flowing, it is simple, and they're okay to make mistakes, no hard feelings. But as a grown up, I've seen that we get very, very conscious when we are writing something that has to be read somewhere, or something that we have to, like a little piece of speech that you prepare when you're going on stage somewhere, we always get these jitters. Ki pata nahi, is it going to be too basic sounding as a script in terms of language, or is it going to be enough? Will people appreciate, the structuring and the composure of the language, etc.? But somewhere I feel a good writer doesn't really care about the complexity of the language, and a good writer is always somebody who's able to very easily bring out, or rather express through these through their words, and it doesn't really have to be flowery and very convoluted and very, very complicated as a language. What's your take in that?
That's a very good question, and it made me think really hard about a lot of things. Uh, what happens is, if there is a writer, and let's speak about Kia. She as a writer, she was not competing with other writers, nor am I. Would not call myself an author. I have written some book, I've published some book. I won't call myself an author. I'm not in the literary circle. That's not my place to be. Hands up. But there was a song inside me that I wanted to take it to the world. I wanted to say something. And even if one person it made a difference, I think I've done my work. Now, when Kea started writing, she was not operating from a space of that there is something that I'm trying to do. She said, "This is what I know I would like to do, and I'm going to do it." There were no second thoughts about it. And,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and whichever way, whosoever wants to perceive in whatever way they want to perceive is not chaos, their problem. We grown-ups are actually trying to live an identity which we have created or people around have created, which is not us. And, we have to live that identity.
True
Geet
that.
Batra, who have worked in sales, marketing, advertising, consulting, HR, recruitment, and all those kind of different industries, who
I
was
get what
vice
you're saying.
president and so on. How can he write a bad book? So I have to live my identity. What really happened is when I wrote the first two books, it took me about a year to roll out the third one because somewhere I was not able to keep that identity which I was trying to live. The moment I gave up that identity, I wrote The Tiger Within. And I actually have ideas for multiple books as well. And I wrote because I wanted to say something. I wanted to entertain people with a fiction story, as well as leave them a message that it is the boundaries, that if you take care of your boundaries, you would lead
Yeah.
a happy life. And to live
Right.
those boundaries, what you need to do is very simple. You have to just be present in the moment. There is no
Yep.
past which is going to make you judge yourself, and there is no future with which you cause anxiety to yourself. It was as simple as
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think in other words, Geet, I think any kind of emotion, right? Any kind of emotion which comes out of a person uh, leaves the person a little cleaner, a little sort of sanitized, in terms of sort of flushing ho jata hai system. I think that is where expression has a role to play. And I'm even okay with people saying that, okay, I can't write a book, but I can, I can speak in the public. And I think even that is a great expression, right?
Yeah.
Because somewhere they're able to structure their thoughts through words, through a medium, and they put it out for people to, sort of absorb and understand and do whatever they have to do with it. But what is the plan going forward, Geet? Do you think that writing has given you enough, has helped you unleash your within enough, or do you feel that no, it's a good medium, you want to continue writing books and see where it goes?
So one, I would continue writing, whether people
Hmm.
buy or not. I am writing
Hmm.
for those one or two people who would buy my book, and
Hmm.
this book make a difference to them.
Got
Those
it.
one or two people
Hmm.
I am writing for. If 100
Got
people
it.
like it, that's amazing.
That's okay. That's fine. And what is the
So
genre that you are getting sort of drawn towards?
nothing. I would
Oh,
write
okay.
anything. Like my first book is actually a guide on prosperity. So it is more
Hmm.
around spiritual lessons.
Hmm.
My second
Hmm.
book is actually a memoir based, kind of a memoir, which is written in fiction style, which is actual conversation and meeting with a individual who was very excited to know the kind of work I am doing as a life coach.
Hmm.
And third is this. And fourth is going to be a non-fiction.
Oh, is it? Where are you heading in that direction now? Please give us a
Uh,
little glimpse.
because once I have spoken so much about boundaries here, I also need to satisfy the eagerness with which people are reading it. So I would like to
Hmm.
give them some understanding of what boundaries is, because a lot of times people think that boundaries are walls.
That
Walls,
too.
they're not
Hmm.
walls.
Hmm.
They are your limits. You cannot
Hmm.
stop other people crossing your boundary. But when you
Right.
define your boundary, you won't go out. You would let people know they can still cross. But at least you know that they have crossed the boundary, how to treat them. For
Hmm.
example, somebody is shouting and speaking to you in a language you don't deserve it.
Hmm.
You can tell them when you are calm and when you are done with venting out, do
Hmm.
it on a paper or a pillow. But I am not
Hmm.
the person who is going to take this.
Hmm.
I treat myself well, and I would like to treat you also to treat me well.
Absolutely.
Now
Very,
that is
very primary example. Yeah.
correct. Now that is a boundary.
Hmm.
So that's a boundary. It's not a wall. You are not going to shoot around people who is going to shout at you or somebody honking in the traffic, right?
Yes.
That's a wall. You're not Hitler. But when you know your boundary, you know what to do. A tiger knows its
Absolutely.
boundary. There are a lot of examples. These wildlife, these animals you would come across in this book. There is our
Hmm.
sightings, and the animals would actually act as per their boundary. Elephant
Hmm.
would act
Hmm.
accordingly. A sloth deer will act accordingly. Everybody
Hmm.
will act accordingly. And
Why we?
from
Why
there,
don't we? Why don't we humans do that? As often as we should, right? We stop being
yes,
the animals that we evolved from. I think we
correct.
became
And
too conditioned. Hmm.
it's because they are connected to their true essence of being.
Yes.
Their power
Hmm.
of presence is there, and none of the animal in the jungle apologizes for being themselves, for
I
taking
swear.
space. They don't seek permission.
Hmm.
A peacock, when it walks, it doesn't say, "Can I come in, please?" If it is not much of a trouble, can I spread my
Hmm.
wings and dance?
Dance a
Can
little bit.
I,
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
can I
and
give my
imagine if all of us did that, right? Probably this would be such a beautiful jungle that we could all coexist without running over each other's feet, right? Because we would have the instincts alive to judge other people's boundaries and know ours as well. So that
yeah?
is why this book makes a lot of sense, and I hope, Geet, a lot of people come forward and buy it. Do you want to give the surprise away that you told me you would?
Yes,
Is
yes.
it's time?
There is a big surprise here.
Yeah.
Till tomorrow, if you like
Sorry.
reading ebooks, till tomorrow this book is free on Amazon.
Okay.
So any of you who likes Kindle books or ebooks, you can just download Kindle app on your laptop, mobile, Android, Apple, iPad, whatever. Just download Kindle app, buy from your Amazon account, free book for 0 INR. But if you like paperback, you can also order
Paperbacks.
the paperback. It will come within 2 days. Uh, and read this book, and I'm looking for some reviews. So you're welcome to give me feedback. You can get in touch with me through Instagram. My Instagram ID is Coach Geet. Uh, and yeah, I would love to hear from you. And if you're drawn more towards my second book, memoir, which is called as My Life, My Rules, which is a typical teenage understanding, or late teens. They often say My Life, My Rules. It is
Hmm.
actually to give you some insight how you can change your life. The
Hmm.
first book, if you are someone who have reached the age of 40 and you're asking what next in my life, uh, it's a very good book. It will tell you what exactly prosperity is, because prosperity is not just money. If you are interested in spirituality, spirit animal guides, or shamanism, definitely my first book, you are going to like it very much. Wildlife photography, or nature, or boundaries, or you are struggling with relationship, Tiger Within is the book for you.
Hmm.
Since we are doing this for Women's Day, I have a fellow author
Hmm.
who actually write under a pen name, Jasper Sidhu.
Hmm.
He wrote a book which is very good and it is apt for this moment.
Hmm.
The name of the book is Read This Before You Marry.
Yeah, I remember you sharing a link on
Yeah.
this.
Read This
Yes.
Before You Marry. It was till yesterday, it was free. Now you may order or get it on Kindle. But it's an amazing book. He says, I don't want to come in front. I have written this book because a lot of women in my life, or my
Hmm.
sisters, my aunts,
Hmm.
they all married the wrong guy.
Hmm.
Based on the people in my life, I know 10 kind of men you should never marry. And
Why didn't you tell me about this book before, Geet? You should have told
yeah,
me a long back.
yeah. But since he doesn't want to come in front, so I thought maybe I can, since this is a intent to reach out all the women and regarding Women's Day, you must read this book. It has 10 archetypes, how they talk, what they do, how they manipulate you, where exactly you feel that you are suffering, where exactly you feel that you require communication, and some toxic
Got it.
relationship you should get out of. So all
Hmm.
that you got to know in that book. It's beautiful. It's amazing. And
Amazing. Coming from you, I'm sure has to have that content, right? Which you're talking about. But Geet, before I end this session, we are almost drawing to an end. We have about 8 minutes. I wanted to ask you about the coaching side of your life. It's been a while that you've been doing it.
yeah,
Uh, how have you helped many others around you, and how has this side of your profession helped you in return? I've always wanted to ask you this, so I wanted to
okay,
sort of have you talk about that for a few minutes before we
sure.
go.
So what really happened is I was in corporate world looking after recruitment pan India, responsible for hiring 2,000 white collar professional with a transnational company which is 240 years old, and I was based out of
Hmm.
Bangalore. I was not enjoying my job, and for a simple reason that I was doing something for someone which I
Hmm.
couldn't much do anything about. And I was getting more and more bored because I loved recruitment, loved interviewing, loved reading CVs and speaking to the candidates. All that stopped because I had a large team doing that. And only when there
Right.
is a senior guy to be hired, I was involved. So it was not
Hmm.
very exciting. And I was getting bored. So I quit my job one day, one fine day, and went for 3 months of travel across Bangalore. I went to Hampi, Gokarna. I went to Goa a few times. I went to Halibut and all those places around Kurg, Uti.
Hmm.
When I went to all these places, got to spend a lot of time with me. In Gokarna, I finally got to understand that I would like to work with people and make a difference to their life. And
Hmm.
just about 3 months back, one of my friend who had become a coach, and
Hmm.
she told me a little bit about coaching, what exactly a
Hmm.
life coach.
Hmm.
I came back to Bangalore from Gokarna and started finding, did my research, got in touch with few people, got in touch with HR guys and some seniors, some colleagues, and asked them
Hmm.
how to become a coach. They directed me to someone. Immediately it clicked. I did the program,
Hmm.
and since then I've been coaching. For basic understanding, a lot of coaching which is happening around these days, digital coaching and all those 99 rupees, is a different kind of coaching. It's more
Hmm.
towards teaching, training, and imparting skill or
Hmm.
knowledge. A coach
Hmm.
doesn't do any of that.
Hmm.
A coach is
Hmm.
someone who makes you think and get the answer from you. He will never answer you. He will never tell you what to do. The real coach will actually do Sagar Manthan. That upheaval will get the answer, will have you the clarity that you require, and you yourself have to take the answer. A lot of times my friend said, "आप coach हो, आप समझदार हो, आप बताओ." I'm going to give you the answer. Then it's my answer, it's my life. I
Yeah.
barely know a tip of your life. I have not experienced what you have experienced. I'm not you. You are a different identity, different personality. So I cannot take a
Absolutely.
decision from your end, even if I have seen the entire world, entire life. It is your life, it is your capability. So you better
And no
uh,
two people are alike, right, Keith? No two
go to
people are
people.
alike. And exactly. So the approaches also cannot be very, very, you know, similar to
Correct.
each other's.
One size
Absolutely.
doesn't fit all. It's not
Absolutely.
a free
But
size that everybody can buy.
I'm actually so happy, because I know you since the last, I think, 6, 7 years. I've seen that enormous growth, from the day that we first met, over the period of time. I think you have just kept moving forward, not being deterred, because coming from a corporate background, I know it's not easy just to shed things which are very, very comfortable. It's like a very comfortable coat that we wear all the time, in terms of a fixed salary coming in, the framework of your job. And now you're in the wild, you're going to the jungles, and you are getting inspired by tigers, and you're writing books, and fabulous, Geet. I think you're going places. I would love to keep connecting back with you every now and then, and check how Geet is, being able to bring back more stories into this side of the world. So,
Hmm.
before I end this amazing session, is there anything else that you would want to leave our listeners with?
Yeah, so I think since this is more around Holi, I would like to wish everyone a happy Holi. Uh, this is a festival where we throw colors at each other, but honestly, how many of us are living in full color inside?
Amazing piece
We
out there. Yeah.
celebrate color outside, but inside, many of us are living in pastels,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
that
And
fading is where boundaries begin.
absolutely, absolutely. I think the direct relationship of color is that with a child, and if I think an inner child is alive in every grown up, then the value of colors can be understood, it can be reflected, it can be exhibited, and it can be owned, right? And I think that's the beauty. Yeah, maine kitne din jeene wale hai, right? It's one life, and we all have just that much of span to do all our circus in. So might as well try all the tricks in the book.
True.
So thank you, Geet. It has been a fabulous evening listening to you read out, from your pages. And I can only hope that you write many, many more books which get better and better with time, and keep sharing it with us, because reading and writing both are amazing forms of expression. So thank you so much for taking this time out for all of
Thank
us.
you.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Happy Holi to
All
you and
right.
all your loved ones
Happy Holi
back at
to
home.
everyone. Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye. Take care. Bye. Ah.